Hey, it's Tesla Canuck. Welcome back to another video. This is pretty awesome. It's what, three days since we picked up our Model Y, and we have ourselves a good old-fashioned Canadian snowstorm. I love it. I still have the all-season tires that came on the vehicle. The plow has not been around. This is going to be an awesome test. Let's get started. Okay. Actually, I'm flooring it to the stop sign here, slamming on the brakes. Yeah, so the all seasons are not going to be as good as your winter tires. I can feel that already. Let's just kind of turn here. Actually, we're going to go back and go through the community here because it looks like they've plowed this road. And then we're just going to bomb around here a little bit, and then we're going to go and do the icy hill test. Let's get, I already said let's get started. I'm so excited. Let's get started again. All right. It's early in the morning here, but I like to get out before the plow comes. So, okay, flooring it here around the corner. A little bit of, it's moving around a little bit, but there's actually quite a lot of snow here on the ground. Let me actually turn on the auto wipers. Okay. Let's try this this corner here. I'd say on the ground there's probably a good I don't know. There's a lot of snow on the ground. There's probably 15 centimeters or so. What would that be in inches? 6 inches, 7 inches. It's piled up. There's some wind drifts, so it's probably even higher than that in places. So far, it's it's interesting. I'm trying to compare it to my Model 3 with the winter tires, and my Model 3 previously was the rear-wheel drive variant, and at this point in time, I think that Model 3 rear-wheel drive with the winter tires was at least as good. I'm flooring it right now. At least not as good, if not better than the all-wheel drive with the all seasons. So far I'm not impressed with these all-season tires. I haven't even looked to see which ones come on this car, but I'll make a note when I produce the video to tell you what tires are actually on this. But they don't appear to be very great in winter weather. Okay, so that was kind of the, scooting around in the deep stuff. Let's head towards that big hill that I have up here, and we'll see what happens when we do the icy hill start test. Because even though this road looks like it may have been plowed, it's still quite icy. I can feel it underneath the foot pedal here. It just feels like it's incredibly icy. It actually rained before it snowed, so that could be why I'm feeling like these tires are kind of crappy, because there might be a sheer layer of ice underneath the snow because it rained before it snowed. Okay, we're going to get some speed up here. I'm not going to get too crazy. I'm going to slam on the brakes. And yeah, it's absolutely pure ice underneath this snow. So that explains it. We're not dealing with just snow here. We are dealing with a lot of snow that's actually on top of ice. So that's a pretty extreme challenge for all winter tires. Sorry, all season tires. They're not the greatest in winter anyhow. And then when you throw in ice underneath snow, this is probably the worst case scenario. So it's a really good test situation. It's not going to get much more slippery than this. Okay, we're coming up to the icy hill. Okay, I'm There's no one behind me. And what we're going to do, similar to what I did to my Model 3, we're going to go about halfway up this hill. I'm not sure what the grade is here. It's maybe a 7 to 9% type of grade. And we're going to stop halfway up, and we are going to then gun it and see what happens. Now, you wouldn't normally do this, obviously. This is not the way I drive. I'm just testing here. Okay, so we're about halfway up at this point. So I'm going to come to a stop. Okay, we're at a complete stop, and now I'm going to gun it. Okay, so we are moving, and this is a big difference between what happened with the rear-wheel drive Model 3, even with winter tires on this icy hill. I did get stuck. I had to use the, what's that feature again? The feature that gets you unstuck. It's escaping my mind right now. So that's a plus for the all-wheel drive. I mean, I know that I talked a lot about the Model 3 rear-wheel drive being really excellent in the snow and icy conditions with the winter tires, which is true, but there is absolutely no substitute for all-wheel drive. Even all-wheel drives with the all-season tires on it. The all-wheel drive is just going to perform better in these type of conditions than any rear-wheel drive can. So, yeah, let's keep going here. Guy pushing all the snow onto the road. That's lovely. Thank you. So just regular driving, like here I'm just driving the speed limit, which is 60 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure what that is in miles. It's too early in the morning. I haven't had my coffee yet, so I'm not doing any kind of conversions of metric to imperial. So, so yeah, just driving regular, it feels quite good. No concerns. And you can slam on the brakes again. There's no one behind me. And yeah, it's extremely icy, but again, I'm flooring it now. And, you know, I'm having to adjust the steering wheel, obviously, but it's controllable. It's quite controllable, even in this worst case kind of scenario. Now, since I know how icy it is underneath the snow, I'm not going to speed up to this stop sign. I'm going to come to a stop, well beforehand. Now I'm using the regenerative braking right now, and there's been some concern that I've read on the forums, and viewers had asked me about, even in the short 3 days that I've had this car, what's the regen going to be like in the wintertime? And the regen, if I compare it to the Model 3, the rear-wheel drive Model 3 anyways, the regen bites much harder in the Model Y than in the Model 3 that I had. So I was curious myself to see how it would perform in these conditions. But, I'm speeding up here. I've let go of the accelerator, and there's absolutely no problem with the regen. Now, you can see that I don't have full regen, which might be another story. But even with the little regen that I have, according to the gauge here, it's still biting harder than my rear-wheel drive Model 3. And I do have the one pedal driving on right now. So, yeah, I know a lot of people are concerned about this. Even without winter tires, I'm not foreseeing that regen is going to be a huge issue. These are very slippery conditions right here with the ice underneath the snow, and so far so good with the regen. Wow, okay. It is really slippery out here, people. I'm probably going to not do anything crazy today, because this is one of those days where you could probably get in trouble because of the ice underneath the snow. And let me just take a look at the screen here. Yeah, okay, we're good. It probably doesn't matter what you're driving on a day like today in these conditions. If you don't drive according to the weather, you can find yourself in the ditch. You know how you can just feel it, right? Like when you're touching the accelerator and you feel how the car is responding, you just know that this isn't the day to do something dumb. All right, so let's recap. So we started off the test, tried to spin it out, couldn't spin it out, but there was a lot of movement, the front and back. I had to actively manage the car with the steering wheel, and not too surprising because underneath that snow, as I mentioned, it had rained before it snowed, and it is it's pure ice underneath the snow. So I think that for all season tires, there's no winter tires on here. I think it performed as expected in those conditions. Not going to be as good as winter tires, but I would say it's quite adequate. If you haven't put your winters on, you don't need to be too concerned about it because it's decent performance. Not as good as winter, but decent. And then we did the Icy Hill test, which flying colors, the all-wheel drive, even without winter tires, did not get stuck, unlike my Model 3, rear-wheel drive. And and then we followed up with just a little bit of driving. We tested the brakes, we tested the Regen, and I'm going to call that a wrap for today. Obviously, I'm going to think of more scenarios like the full self-driving beta, which when I get it. I do not have full self-driving beta, but when I get it, there's all sorts of scenarios I'm going to want to tackle. So that's it for today. Thank you for tuning in. Tesla Canuck, over and out.